Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Speakeasy. I'm your barkeeper, Jeff Belanger, and I'm glad you're here. It's Friday. You made it to the weekend, and you made it to May 1st. Really, that's worth celebrating. I mean it. We're getting through this. Remember way back when we started the Speakeasy back in mid-March? It was the time we were learning schools are closing, like for the year, and May just seemed so far away. Well, we made it this far, and I think we can make it just a little bit more. That's the plan anyway. We'll keep doing this together. We'll hang out, and please, if you're watching right now, please share the video so your friends can watch, they can participate, ask questions, tell us where you're from, tell us what you're drinking, because we're glad you're with us tonight. Okay, so when I was a kid, my parents got me a Ouija board. There it is. Beautiful, isn't it? And I remember taking this thing to sleepovers. We'd go to friends who said their houses were haunted. And I was intrigued by the possibilities. Were we communicating with our subconscious? Was our friends just messing with us? Or was it something from the other side? Now, these boards have a long and colorful history in and out of popular culture. And tonight, I have some friends from the Talking Board Historical Society coming to celebrate this thing in a big way. Like a really big way, like a Ouijazilla huge kind of way. So let's just start bringing some people in, shall we? Okay, first, from California, please welcome the Secretary and Officer of the Talking Board Historical Society, Karen A. Dahlman.
Hey, everybody. Thanks. Woo!
There's Karen.
Excited to be here.
I'm so excited you're here, too. Thank you. All right, so hold tight. There's more to bring in. From Connecticut, we've got Calvin Von Crush. Calvin.
Yo!
He's here.
Hey, everyone.
All right. Good to see you too, Calvin. One more to bring in, one more. From New Jersey, please welcome the Talking Board Historical Society Vice President, Rick, Ormortis, Schreck.
What's up? How you doing, everybody?
The gang's all here. Thank you, guys. So we have people drinking tea in Minneapolis. Karen, what are you drinking? I think you're also teetotaling, aren't you?
I'm teetotaling. I'm doing a Ouija tea. It's dandelion root tea with hibiscus and Ceylon cinnamon.
And you're not driving after that, right? So.
Oh, no. Never drive after a teetotal.
No, that's crazy.
Crazy.
All right, Rick, what you got? What are you drinking?
Heart attack in a can. Economy size. Red Bull.
Oh, good. Joe here is drinking a Bloody Mary.
Ooh.
Calvin, what do you got?
We got tequila and ginger ale.
Well done. So it's just me and Cal. I've got the Narragansett beer of Jaws.
Yay!
Nice.
Well, cheers, you guys. Thanks for coming. Clink.
Clink.
Okay. So I know you've all been asked this individually, and I apologize, but I got to know because I really don't know. Can we go around the horn? Karen, can we start with you? I know you use Ouija boards to communicate with spirits. When were you introduced? How did you fall in love with the talking board?
Oh, my gosh. Well, here's my very first one, you guys. It's circa 1972. I got it in 73.
Wait, that looks like mine.
Yes. Well, mine came from Santa Claus.
Oh, nice.
So you guys, I do use the board. I talk to spirits, all kinds of things on the board, and I've been doing it since 1973. Yep. And I love Ouija. I love using it, and I love people that love Ouija too, because it really can be a cool tool.
Well, you're in good company tonight, of course, so because everybody here is a Ouija fan. I even have a Ouija shirt. I'll back up. See?
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I stole it from Bob Merch. And Calvin's still fixing his camera. You look good to me. Calvin, you feeling all right? No, it's good. It's good. All right. What about you, Rick? How did you get introduced to the board? Now, see, for people who don't know, Rick makes boards. You make big boards, which we'll talk about soon, very soon. But how did you get introduced to the Ouija board?
Had to be, Hollywood, man. Back in the 80s when I was watching a lot of movies, The Exorcist, Witchboard. Witchboard was what made me want to start collecting them. Because I wanted to have that whole progressive entrapment thing.
Right. And what about you, Calvin? I know you collect all things odd. Why Ouija? Is it just another weird thing, or did it start with Ouija?
It started with Ouija, believe it or not. I think my family grew up with ghost stories around Ouija boards. And in 5th grade, I asked for one for Christmas, and I got one. So we're talking all the way back in 1992.
Oh, you
My
young,
God,
young.
God, you're a kid.
He's
You're
young.
just a kid.
He's young.
1992. I was graduating high school, my good man.
Dude, I was already out working as a, in occupation.
In an occupation. Wait a minute. There's a story there. What's the occupation?
Oh, well, I was a psychotherapist for many years. And so in 92, I was already out there practicing in private practice, and Calvin was still wearing diapers, I think.
Okay. Well, the way you said that, it made me sound like it could have been a little more nefarious. Not that being a psychotherapist.
I'm toning it down for the audience. No, just kidding.
Right. That's fair. We got people in the UK watching. Thanks for staying up late with us. Appreciate it. Brad Blair, Rick Ormortis is your hero.
All right, Brad. Love you, man.
Yeah. So you got a lot of people checking in from all over. It's great to see everybody tonight. The last time all four of us were together was actually in Salem. We were in Salem, Massachusetts. And the reason we were all there is because of something called Ouijazilla. And Rick, I would love you to, can we just start with, okay, just so people know, it's the world's largest Ouija board. And Rick, please take it from there. How did that idea get conceived and executed?
Well, where the idea originally came from was funny old conversations with Robert Murch and I when I thought of painting a Ouija board on a football field and putting a planchette on my truck and trying to see if I can get my car to move. And he challenged me to try to live that vision all the way through. And I'm a tattoo artist. I tattoo a lot of really cool people. And a buddy of mine, Greg, who he works for a place that builds shipping crates, giant shipping crates. He told me, if you need the wood, I'll help you make that dream come true. And because of him and Trans-American, we made it happen. I got over 100 sheets of plywood, and I had to do it. Actually, this is, I don't know if you guys can see this. I don't know if it shows on there.
Yeah,
but that's the grid. I made a grid on a Ouija board, and I broke it down into 99 separate spaces and projected it onto a wall, and I painted them one panel at a time. It wasn't until when we all met in October was the first time I ever saw it put together. So I was taking a big chance.
And so just so people understand, I'm going to show a picture here. So you guys, well, let's start putting it together, right? So here's Calvin and Rick.
Great picture.
I love that one.
And Calvin looks like he's trying to drill Rick, which is nice.
That's what he always does.
No
That's
judgment.
That's in the pouring rain, by the way.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So you guys are there. So I mean, you're laying down all these sheets of plywood, and we'll show you just in a minute. Let's build up to it. So like you were there like early in the morning, right? You had a big old truck come in and start laying these things down. And were you worried it would be like a puzzle that didn't quite fit together, or did you have it planned out enough?
Well, I had enough confidence that it was going to work, but I've had confidence in a lot of things that haven't worked in the past. So what do I know? I when we got there, I was really worried it wasn't going to happen because we had an issue with the frame. There's actually a 2x4 frame underneath. Right. As Calvin and Karen will tell you, it was not square. And I didn't realize that like a 1-inch gap on one corner will end up being like 3 feet by the time we got to the other side.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. Right. So, all right, let's give some perspective here. So here's you guys. There you are. Right. That's the planchette. That's just the planchette. Mm-hmm. And then take a look at this.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. It's amazing. And let's jump up in the air and show people just to get a little more size of scale. I mean, is it fair, like about the size of like a basketball court, right? I mean, is that about maybe actually a little larger, I would say.
It's
right?
72 by 44
feet.
Yeah.
So that's in downtown Salem. There's the, there's the green, and you guys are just amazing. Look at that. Just so people understand, those are human beings around the board. Right. That's so wicked awesome. And so I got to go there. I was there that night. I ran into all you guys. I wanted to see it and throw a little support your way. And I brought my own planchette, which I thought was really cool. And there were a lot of comments about how small my planchette was.
That's great.
I don't know.
It's not the size of the planchette, Jeff. It's the way you move
Thank you, Calvin.
That's exactly right.
I think we said that like 10 times that night. This is just, the sad trombones were everywhere. Wah, wah, wah. Now, what's really cool is I mean, it's the world's largest, and you got the Ripley's Believe It or Not folks were there,
Yes.
right? I mean, that's wicked cool. I do not have a certificate like this, but you do. Like, dude, listen, as a fellow weirdo, I can tell. I mean, like, that's like an Emmy award, right? Like, that's like an Oscar. I'm not kidding. I'm not joking at all, right? Aren't you just like, oh, you want an Oscar? That's cute. I got this.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my God.
Like, what would you rather have? I don't.
I love it. I'm very proud of that certificate.
Did you grow up like watching that show in the 80s and stuff? Ripley's Believe It or Not.
And
Yeah.
I used to cut the articles out in the Sunday paper too.
And I was certain that this all was for real because I saw it with my own eyes. But then I had doubts because you were on Fox News. I was like, maybe it didn't happen.
Oh, it's real.
I'm just kidding, all you Fox News fans. It's all good. It's all good. So that's cool. I mean, you made national news for this thing, and it's in Salem. What, one day? Was that the plan?
Well, one day was the plan, but you know, the group. I got to tell you, everybody in the TBHS, you know, Karen broke her hand helping there.
Did you really?
Yeah.
It gets swelled up, but we didn't break. It just got really swollen. Those guys were carrying those boards around, and Calvin's going, carry it like this, and I was carrying them like this, and it was breaking my hand practically, and they were heavy.
Mm-hmm. And my favorite line was Calvin saying that the only thing that Ouijazilla summoned was lower back pain or joint pain.
No, wait. Listen, this is the best part. Like, days after this all went down,
Joint pain,
like,
yeah.
I share a lot of memes with friends. That's how we communicate. We actually don't even text. We don't use words. We just send memes to say how we're feeling. And I got this one from someone who, by the way, is like not in our circle. That one, right?
Yeah.
This is what happens, right? And
Yeah.
so you summoned back pain, and you became an internet meme. Like, between the internet meme and Ripley's Believe It or Not, you're just done now, right? You retire. Like, there's nowhere to go, right?
Oh, right. We're going bigger. I'll go bigger.
Is that really the plan? Do you want to go bigger?
I have a project that's not in the works yet because I mean the whole world's on hold.
Right.
But I want to go with something just as equally as big to go side by side with Ouijazilla. It's going to be twice as impressive.
Oh, twice. I'll get a planchette twice as big, sir. I'll bring my big planchette instead of the little one. Poor little guy. So I want to talk to you guys like as collectors now. This is a tough time to be collecting, say, anything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, you can't get out. What's life been like for you? And let's just kind of go around. What's life been like for you since you got locked in, Karen?
You know, I work from my home anyway, so it's kind of the same for me. But I'll tell you, it's really been cool. I've been going on these really long walks, which I go on walks every day, but the walks are now like over an hour, and I'm overlooking the ocean or the green belt, and it's just beautiful. And I meet people. We talk about polywogs. We talk about blooming weeds. I mean, who does that? But it's enjoyable. So that's what I've been doing, and I've still been doing Ouija board too.
And now, so do you use it alone? Do you break like all the rules of Ouija? Because I grew up with Lorraine Warren, and I got to tell you, honey, I've heard that lady tell us how dangerous these things are. And by the way, I mean, I say that, and like, I would pan over and show you the rest of my basement, but like, I must have 20 of these things. Just people keep giving them to me, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. And so, there's plenty. Did Calvin freeze?
I think it keeps freezing. Yeah.
Everyone hold still. No. Calvin did freeze. You might have to reboot my man or something. He'll work on it. That's okay. You know what? I think that's a pretty cool look. It's kind of like artsy. So
I like it. I got to do a shout out to somebody. Shout out to Carl Hutchinson in the UK. He's wearing the Ouijazilla shirt tonight, he said. Yay, Carl.
Is he really?
Yeah, all right.
Man, I'm having the worst.
Oh, wait, there he is. We can hear him.
Calvin's coming back from the dead.
Karen, can you use your Ouija board and contact Calvin?
Hold on. Here we go.
Calvin. Bring in Calvin.
Come to us, Calvin. I ask you to reboot.
Wow.
Huh? That didn't work too well.
Yeah. No. So what about you, Rick? Since the world stopped, obviously you can't be doing tattoos right now. I mean, that's completely shut down for the whole country. Hey, it's Calvin for a second. There he is.
Text you, Calvin.
He's back.
Yay!
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, everybody.
It's over.
Sorry, guys, I've been drinking.
No, so so Rick, what's life been like?
I blame tequila.
Rough. It's been rough. We got closed down March 19th.
Yep.
And owning a tattoo shop myself, I'm ineligible for unemployment. I've tried multiple times. So they tell you no freelancers, gigs, or self-employed. They said, wait, we got you. Wait. No grants, no PPP loans, no nothing. So I just been selling a lot of like my art online and keeping busy. They say devil's hand, idle hands, the devil's workshop.
Yeah.
Well, I have the devil's hands anyway, but I need my hands to stay in motion, man. So I've been selling a lot of art online and keeping busy, doing a lot of fun stuff with my family too.
No, I get it. And that's good, but it's also hard to really enjoy yourself when you're petrified that like you're going to lose everything.
Yeah.
Like,
You just gotta stay positive, man. It's hard. It's hard at times.
Yeah. What about you, Calvin? I know you're a tattoo artist too, and like you're just as shut down. Like what's life been like for you since this all hit?
Yeah, I'm in the same ship as Rick, being a tattooer. Here in Connecticut, though, it's different. I might qualify for unemployment, so we're hoping for that. But I've been trying to stay busy. In fact, I just found the grave of the first Ouija suicide in Connecticut.
Are you offering tours?
Maybe.
Yeah. So in 1900, Sarah E. Griffin got a message from a Ouija board telling her it was her time to go. So she crawled in bed and took a shot of strychnine and killed herself.
And she's in Connecticut.
And she's buried in Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Well, Bridgeport, that makes sense. Yeah. It's his connection. I'm sorry, Calvin. We're laughing with you. I promise. But no,
I thought you stunned him. I thought he was stunned into that.
I did too.
Yeah.
No, my dad worked in Bridgeport for years and years. I used to go there and visit him. I totally get it. So no, that's kind of incredible.
Yeah, there's not much in Bridgeport. There's a zoo and a dead Ouija board suicide. That's it.
Oh, Carl has a question for you, Calvin. How's your two-headed turtle doing?
They're doing really good. They love having their dad home. They're spoiled. They've got their little terrarium that I built from scratch for them. They're little pigs. They eat as much as I will feed them. And I have a cat too named Elvira. So she's actually my saving grace. It's really nice having her around here when it gets lonely. I live by myself.
Yeah.
So she's good company.
Pets have been the big winners in all this. Like they're just like, dude, you're always here. Like this is great. It's like the weekend all the time. So yay for our feathered friends and furry friends and whatever kind of pets you have, scaly friends. I totally get it. Let's get it. Okay, so the Ouija board, people may not understand this, but Ouija as a brand name goes back to like, what was it, 1892? Did I get that right? Kennard Novelty Company? 1891?
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, so this has been around a long, long time. And I know some people in our comments here have been saying that these things are dangerous. I don't touch them. I use mediums. All okay. We're not here to try to convert anyone to anything. You're welcome to your thoughts and opinions. But there was a time when they really were not considered dangerous. There was a time exactly 100 years ago today, for example, 100 years ago today, that the Saturday Evening Post and Norman Rockwell put that sucker up. Look at that. May 1st, 1920.
Awesome.
And I love that. I mean, I've seen Bob Murch put this in his presentations. I've used it for years now. What I love about it is like, it was a fun parlor game that kind of like, it bucked the trend, right? Men and women weren't supposed to sit too close together. There was no Twister back then, right? There was Ouija. And she's looking off into the heavens like, Grandma. And he's like, whatever, baby, right?
Pretty much.
And I love that. So it was not a dangerous thing in 1920. It was just like this fun parlor game. But something changed in the 1970s, right? The reputation started to get dark. And that's, William Peter Blatty, The Exorcist, lots of horror movies started to use it as like the concept that like this is a way spirits could come in and out of our world, in and out of our bodies. And then people started to sort of villainize these poor things. And I mean, it's just like cardboard and plastic, right? I mean, you buy it right next to Monopoly. So Karen, what do you say to someone that says, hey, these things are dangerous, don't touch them?
Well, what we believe is what we're going to get. I mean, we're going to attract that to us. It's really through your intentions. But again, I'm with Jeff. We're not here to convince anybody to use them. I love them because of the art they are. I have them all over my house too, all over my walls. They're everywhere behind me. And it's to me, it's beautiful artwork. Of course, I use them. I use every single board I have. But it's really about what you believe about anything. And I have to say this, when the Ouija boards always had a little bit of a negative connotation underline it, but I have to say I give my hat off and props to Kevin Tenney with Witchboard, because he was the first person that actually took the Ouija and made it into a main character in that movie. And next thing you know, you're battling with the Ouija that has a life of its own. So movies like that really took it and turned it in a new way. And so, that's good for Hollywood, but don't pay attention to always what Hollywood says. All that stuff is typically not real. It's just not.
Right. No, of course, I get it. And not only that, working on Ghost Adventures, we did an episode about Roland Doe, the boy that, supposedly was, possessed, and the basis of the movie, The Exorcist, and so on. And when you look into it, no one really blames the Ouija board. And yet it makes me nutty to when people say, like, don't touch them, they're dangerous, you don't know what's on the other side, they're the most evil things on earth. Let's do an EVP session. Are there any spirits here? I'm like, what? That's safe and that's not? Like, I mean, I don't know if you've got some logic. I'm listening, but like, you're still saying whatever's out there, come to me and communicate. Dowsing rods are safe, but Ouija's not? How? Like, those rods could take an eye out, I mean, so I really don't understand the logic behind the argument that one thing is dangerous. If you say they're all dangerous, like, that's a consistent viewpoint. Right? Don't communicate with spirits and with anything. Well, that's at least, hey, fine, I respect that. But use one but not the other, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. And no one's ever successfully explained it to me. I've tried to listen. And I know I'm preaching to the choir right now because you guys make them and love them, and Karen, you use them. What about Rick and Calvin? Do you guys ever use them for like spirit communication, or is it more just about the collecting?
There we go, Calvin. You there?
You want to go first?
Sure. I personally have never been able to get a Ouija board to work by myself ever.
Right.
In all the years of collecting, every time I've been even given a haunted one or told that, this one's evil, this one's bad, I'm like, all right, give it to me, bring it on.
Right.
I never get it. My wife, she uses a pendulum, and it seems successful for her. I've seen the thing move weird ways. Even when we use there's a board called the Pen G that Gene Orlando's site, the Museum of Talking Boards, he has it as a Ouija board, and we actually have that hanging on the wall. We took it down and used it as a pendulum, and she gets success with that. But I've never personally had anything. Wish I have. I want that progressive entrapment.
That's the name of my band.
Is it really?
We're pretty good. I'll send you our demo. What about you, Calvin? Do you use them? Calvin, we got a delay.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm probably the most vocal skeptic in the group, and I don't believe in spirit communication at all.
Okay.
To me, I think it's the history of the boards, and it's kind of the social power that they have over people. When I have people over and they're scared to even touch one, it just blows my mind.
Yeah.
That something so innocuous as Alvat on cardboard could scare the shit out of somebody just blows me away.
I totally get it. So Bob Murch and I, were on at a paranormal event. I don't quite remember where, but I do remember that someone had given him a somewhat older board, like 1960s Salem Ouija, when it was made in Salem. And he's like, look, I got like 30 of these. You can have it. And I'm like, oh, cool. Thanks. And so he gives it to me at the airport, which is a super important part of the story. And so we're about to go through security, and like those big boards don't fit in anything. They don't fit in carry-on. And so I was like, well, I guess I'll just carry it. And so I put it through the X-ray and all that. And walking onto an airplane with a Ouija board under your arm as you go by all the rows of seats with people sitting there, people were legit uncomfortable. Like they were looking around, and they're like, I mean, if I had like TNT with wires coming out of it, I think they would have looked the same. They were like, what are you going to do with that? And we're like, well, I don't know. See who's up there at 35,000 feet, right? I mean, it can't hurt. And people were really uncomfortable. I'm like, wow, these things are kind of polarizing. And yet, I mean, I think it's worth pointing out right on the box. I'll try to hold it up. There it is, right? Ages 8 and up. That's me. That's even Calvin, the youngin' of the group.
Young Calvin, yeah.
Yeah. Calvin's a little over 8.
Yeah. So no, it's really you're right, Calvin. It is something that people see it, and usually it has some sort of visceral effect as soon as they see it. Like, whoa, I'm scared, and I think they're scared because of the possibilities, right? Like, what could this thing be? Karen, you had a question in here. There it is. How's your luck been with communicating using the board since the pandemic? Would you expect for vibrational levels to be at an all-time low? Yeah, I mean, how many 2020 sucks memes have you guys seen come around? Yeah, has that affected you negatively with spirit communication?
Not at all. Hey guys, I know we have fun. We all know them. They helped at Ouijazilla, by the way.
They were there. They were there.
You met them.
Yep.
So glad you guys joined us. It still works really well. I've been able to make contact several times during this pandemic and get messages about it. If you want to learn about the messages I got, you can go to my website, read about it there. But anyway, it's been working really well. I think it's because the consciousness of humanity really wants to have an understanding what's going on or hope or something. So I just ride the wave of that hope, of desire, and that's how I usually tap into the energy. So it's been working really well. Thanks for asking that good question, you guys.
I would like you to tap into like 1918 Spanish flu pandemic spirits and be like, so how did you roll back then 100 years ago?
Yeah, that would be not so good, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's I get that, like, we've never seen anything like this in our lifetime, and it's unprecedented. That word's been used over and over, but it's so true. And yet we have been here before many times historically as a species. And it worse, in fact, the Spanish flu, like the numbers were off the charts compared to right now, but doesn't make it less scary because we're living this one right now. But yeah, I always thought, like, in ghost hunting, paranormal investigation, ghost stories, the point is to connect to the past. Like, that's job one. And if you don't believe in ghosts or spirits, that's okay. Like, if nothing else, connect to the past, because, man, we have made mistakes before. We have been in these positions before. And I mean, if we read up a little bit about it, if we connect to it a little bit, maybe we can navigate these waters a little better than we did before. That's the hope anyway. Rick, go. Say something wise. Give us comfort.
Say something wise? I don't know, man. You know what? Like, in times like these, you got to just be grateful for the small things, man. You know what I've learned is what's important right now. And a lot of the stuff that, like, we all get worried about losing things or debt. You were asking, is it hard to collect during this time? What I've been doing is I've been collecting debt right now. That's my hobby. Mm-hmm. But you know what? Like, it really comes down to what's important, because I've been in contact with several people who have lost loved ones and whatnot on Facebook. Yeah. And I'm grateful that just for today, I'm not going through that. I still say it's been my tagline forever. The only problems I have are financial, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, I hear you, but they're real. They're real problems.
They're real, but I'm not fighting the virus right now, If my problems can be bought and paid for, that's a blessing.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And so I mean, I am curious. How do we come out of this? Right. I'm thinking about the Michigan Paracon. You guys are all scheduled to be there again, right?
Right.
Yep.
So, boy, imagine the party. I mean, that's a party anyway. Imagine now when we're like, I mean, for some people that might be the first like cut loose in like half a year.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
We need this. We need it.
Bring your seatbelts, for sure. I get it. So where do you think Ouija's going? I know. So Hasbro, of course, bought Parker Brothers years ago, and they've made various versions of it. There was the pink one for girls. There was the one that they made for the movie, when the Ouija movie. Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Oh,
it's right behind you. Oh, we lost Calvin. We'll get him back in if you can. I see it. And then there's the one they made for the movie, that had the super heavy planchette,
Oh yeah, I hate that one. It was electronic and the light it lit up and I did a whole review on it. It doesn't move well, you guys. It's too heavy.
Yeah.
Ugh.
The planchette's like a brick and the board is rough.
It's rough. Yeah, the surface is horrible. If you slack it, it's good. Then they came out with the second one and the planchet was lighter, right, Rick? And it was a lot nicer. It worked well.
Mm-hmm.
And so that I remember seeing it. Merch got some early ones and we had it there. And so here, I'm going to okay, there's the planchette on the board, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like the whole function of it is that planchette should slide around really easily.
Uh-huh.
But that it shouldn't take much effort. And that planchette, like you said, was so heavy and it had a light in it. I get the cool factor. It would light up stuff, that you would see in black light. But if it doesn't work, if it ceases to be functional, then what did you like? Didn't anybody test that at Hasbro?
That's what I want to know.
No one sat down and said, hey, let's try it before we start mass producing these things.
Hey, Jeff, you want to know a fun fact? The planchette from Ouijazilla moved better than that one.
Oh, I remember. That was crazy.
400 pounds.
We were pushing that thing. I think you had that on like Magic Fairy Elves, though, right?
Yeah.
I don't mean to ruin the story. Okay, Lauren in Connecticut has a question for you. Any unique stories about some of the boards you've collected? Go ahead. Let's start with you, Rick.
Unique stories.
You got a whole wall behind you. There's got to be a story back there.
They're everywhere. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. Like what might be unique to other people is boring to me. I got one down here by this guy. He goes by the name Craig Hunt, and it's a Call-in Cthulhu board. It's one of my favorite boards ever. I have 3 of them in 3 different colors. He was the guy that inspired me to start creating my own back in 2004. The boards are really incredible. So I found him. This was, back when it was a little harder to find people online. And I found him and I asked him, I know you stopped making these boards. The production run was over. I said, do you have any like scrap or misprints or like ones that are broken in half, anything? I'll take anything, And he said, well, I have a few from my own personal collection. The printer that was manufacturing these boards from, he would do all the woodwork, sanding, staining, and whatnot. And then he had them printed, and then he was doing the polyurethane, right? Mm-hmm. The guy that was printing them, they had a suicide across the street. And the guy that worked in the print shop blamed the boards for being there. He was very superstitious and ceased all production. He said he didn't want to do them no more. And at that time, moved everything and put everything away. And the polyurethane got dumped and ended up putting these like streaks on the boards. Okay. And he goes, I have one of those. He goes, if you trade me one of yours, I'll trade you that. So that's a unique board I have in my collection. He wrote the whole story on the back of the board for me.
They become a scapegoat, right? Mm-hmm. And they, so when I was like 20 something, I'm in Lorraine Warren's house in Monroe, Connecticut, because I was interviewing them for a newspaper. The phone, this is before the internet. That's how old I am. The phone would ring all day. The phone would just ring and there's no caller ID. So she'd just answer. And I can't tell you, I interviewed Ed Warren for an hour once, and I swear like 5-6 times this same conversation played over and over, right? Lorraine, hello? Oh, yeah, honey. Oh, honey, that sounds bad. Honey, oh, yeah. Is there a Ouija board in the house? Oh, honey, you got to get rid of that. And so I believe it was 1967 that the Ouija board outsold Monopoly. Was that the one year that it And so imagine that same conversation, right? Is there a Monopoly board in your house?
Exactly.
Wait a minute. There is a Monopoly. There's a Monopoly board in my house right now, And you suddenly go, oh, crap. Like, I got to get rid of that thing. It's an easy thing to victimize and villainize. But as someone commented earlier, I mean, and Karen, would you agree with this? That like, we're the medium. Like, these are just the tools, right? Like, this is just the tool that we're using.
Absolutely. In fact, I do this work with what I communicate with off the board. So I don't call myself a medium or a psychic. I just call myself, I use my intuition and my empathy, and I can get the same messages without using a board. So we are the tool. We're the ones that do all the work, whether it's our subconscious mind, ideomotor, spirits out there, whatever it is, we are doing the work. The board becomes our permission slip to slip into the realms. The board is just our permission slip. That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less. If this one's masonite, I have cardboard ones, compressed particle wood, real wood boards. I have the galore, but it's us. We're the main reason why these work.
And one of the things that I like about them is that if the psychic ability is really in us and we're just tapping into something that we all have anyway, some more or less than others, then it allows you to sort of compartmentalize that experience, right? So you pull the board off the shelf, you take it out, you sit down, maybe you light a candle or something, and now you're putting yourself into that space.
Right.
And you start to tap into something just because you're going through some motions. And then when you get a little freaked out, you put it away. You put it in the box, you put it in the closet, and you shut the door. And it's almost metaphorical, right? Like, okay, I don't want to tap into that anymore. And people I know who claim to be psychics and mediums will say it's always on for them sometimes. And I think maybe people that use Ouija boards might be grateful that you can compartmentalize it and turn it off and put it away. I mean, I don't know. I think
that's a good way of looking at it, Jeff. I mean, and that gives people that little extra security they feel like they need. It represents a talisman in a way that says, hey, I'm going to do this work. And it becomes like, again, a permission, but a reminder that you can do this yourself. And what I really hope people can start to look at is not give your power away to some masonite or compressed particle board or cardboard. The power's in here. It always has been in here. No matter what anybody tells you, the tool does nothing. You're doing all the work. It's just my excuse to be able to tap into these realms.
Nope, I totally get it. Good question here from Rita. What makes people afraid of Ouija boards? I think we sort of touched on it, but let's expound. Go ahead, Rick.
I could probably touch on that, and I wanted to jump in with what you and Karen were just talking about.
Go ahead, yeah, please, yeah.
I always like to compare Ouija boards to the lament configuration. If you love Hellraiser, you know what the Hellraiser box is, right? Which is another thing. If it was real, I would do it, right? Bring those guys out, right? So it's a little box, little puzzle box, and if you solve it, these demons come and they drag you away to hell and give you all this. They can give you power or they punish you. You don't know. It's like a lottery, right?
Right.
So in Hellraiser Part 2, Hellbound, there's a doctor who wants to know what's in this box so bad. So he tricks patients into his hospital into trying the box. A young girl solves the box and the demons come. And he's watching through like bulletproof glass, thinking he's going to witness something. And the Pinhead says to the other ones, he says, no. And the demons are like, no, because they're just about to torture this girl. And he said, it's not hands that call us, it's desire. So the power wasn't within the box itself. In fact, the box is just a little toy. It's what's within you and the intent that you're throwing out there, the desire and intent that attracts what you're looking for. Yep. So like Karen said, the magic's within you. People who really work well with Ouija boards can do it with anything.
Sure. Oh, yeah. All right, go ahead, Karen. Why are we afraid?
We're afraid for many reasons, like we talked about before. I mean, there's always been a stigma with the unknown, and I think people are always curious what happens when you die, and people start using the board in the beginning to talk to the deceased. Therefore, it's like, this is a great mystery, and then you hear some religious models saying, or institutions saying, you're not supposed to speak to false spirits, they call it. So that plays into it. Then there's superstitions, and Gene Orlando coined the word Ouija-stitions, and so that's the idea. Isn't that a great word? That's the idea that we create all this fabricated mythology, if you will, around the board. Because with anything we do things that are outside of the secular, outside of the mainstream society. We start doing things out here that it's like things we don't really know what we're doing, kind of thing. Because people don't really know what happens when we die, do we really? So when that happens, it's like people start creating all kinds of superstitions, Ouija-stitions around this whole concept. So that's where it really came from the hearts of mankind, from humanity. We start creating these rules and stuff. But then also the Hollywood, like I mentioned earlier, ran with these rules, and progressive entrapment that Rick keeps talking about, that came from Witchboard. So Kevin Tenney started making up his own words and ideas. And now people that are in their teens and 20s that are younger, because I was doing this way before Witchboard, you guys. I was doing a good 13, 14 years before Witchboard came out, that people are running with it now and saying, oh my God, you're going to get progressively entrapped. So that's what happens. The Ouija-stitions continue to grow, and we keep spreading the mythologies.
Yeah, no, and you can't say enough how powerful Hollywood and popular culture is, right? When they keep playing on the same tropes over and over and over again, no matter what the movie is, right? Then suddenly you just, well, these must be bad. These must be scary. Even the movie, the Ouija movie, that was a pretty decent horror movie, right? Yeah. I mean, as they go, like, not bad, right? If you like horror genre, which I do. I mean, it still played on the inherent danger of it. that you're pulling something through, and I guess we're just always going to have to live with that. Now, you guys last year at the Michigan Paracon, you guys had a whole room full of like collectible Ouija boards, which was awesome. It was so fun. Like, it was an incredible collection just to begin with, but to watch people's reaction, right? They'd walk by the room, right? Some went running, but I do think you converted some people, and when I say convert, I only mean willing to walk in and appreciate that there's history and art and a lot of stuff going on in that room that's worth looking at, that you're not going to see anywhere else. Like, who's got a collection like that, but just a very few of you guys. Did you get some funny comments when you were in there? Because I know you guys were working that, you were at that room all day long. What were some of the comments you got?
You want to go, Rick?
You did most of the chatting in there. You could tell.
Well, the typical comment was, I'm never going to touch those boards, or I never would. Or it was like, well, these are kind of interesting. I want to learn a little bit more about them. And then when you start telling them the history and what was going on with the pop culture at the time, or what was going on in the world, then you start understanding where some of these boards and the artwork came from. And then especially some of the older ones, we had a table of some really old ones. And then we had all the ones that came out during the like 40s and 50s and 60s. And you could see the parallel with what was going on in society and in our culture. So that was really fascinating. People were really excited about that. And then people wanted to sit down with either myself or with their own partner and use the board. So we did that there too. So they had a chance to really see what it felt like if the planchette moved. And I know I sat with everybody I sat with, we were able to get the planchette to move and get some things happening from it. So, it's interesting. And then I had people that were just really weren't sure and were just curious. And that was probably the most fun. Again, we're not here to convert, but we were just here to share the history. You guys are such wonderful history behind the talking board. And by the way, this year at Michigan Paracon, I'm not going to say what we're doing, but we've got a really cool exhibit, right, Rick? It's going to be even cooler than last year's. Oh,
yeah. Yeah,
I'll be there.
You're gonna get some comments this year, I promise you.
Oh, yes.
Did you hear any
Bring
funny
your
stories,
steak.
Rick? You got any funny stories from the display? People seeing it?
Not really. I mean, there was pretty much the reaction you'd expect. Some people would walk in and they'd say they felt a lot of energy. There were other people who walk in and they would turn right around. They go, "Oh no, that's what's in here," and they walk right back out.
Hell no.
Same thing we get it every time we have a display of boards. Sometimes, and like, hey man, with all due respect, all you ghost hunter guys and everybody who loves ghosts, everybody wants to communicate with ghosts, and then you see the alphabet on a piece of wood and you go running. What's up with that?
No,
That's what I want to
What's up with that?
I've said it forever. So like the shack hacks and like the spirit boxes where it's just like radio waves moving around like every
those
half
are
second.
scarier.
Like, so, I mean, if you gave me that right now and said, communicate with me, I don't know what to do. I mean, maybe when we die, we just learn how to manipulate radio waves. I don't know. I've never died, but I can spell. I'm a writer. Like, if you put a Ouija board in front of me right now alive, I could spell out a message if I had to. I could be like, I hid the gold under my bed, right? Like, I mean, I could get you a message. So I understand that. That makes sense to me. Dowsing rods, I understand. Open for yes or cross for no. Okay, I can do that, right? A pendulum, I understand. Make it move one way for this or that. Okay, I can do that. I get that. Even an EMF meter, move close and make it light up, and I get it. Knock on the wall. I get that. So I mean, but this, I don't, it does get villainized, and it's a crazy thing to me. Okay,
Karen, I'm sorry, Jeff. I just want to tell you, Karen brought up, Gene Orlando, like, he's like the guru, or we call him the wizard behind the curtain, right? Yeah. A lot of stuff that we share has come from him. And one time Gene had shared, when people say that the board contains evil or spirits or whatever, Gene was saying that, even if you were to speak to an evil person on a telephone, when you hang up, their evilness don't get caught in that phone. It's not the phone, right? So there's nothing trapped there. It's a tool, like Karen said. And if it works for you, rock on.
Let me continue that analogy. If you talk to an evil person or a person who like sucks the life out of you, and we all have people in our lives like that, they do stay with you when you hang up. But how long they stay with you is up to you. Right? Where you're just like, oh God, Rick called me again. Right? And you're like, I know, Rick, times are tough. Whew, right? Click. And then, I just picked the name Rick. Just
like, wah, wah, wah.
out of here. No, so but you know what I mean? Like so like how long that stays with me is up to me. If I choose to let it stay with me for days, then that's on me to let that go. So no, I think that's a good one. So speaking of possessed boards, Bob Heskey had a question. Do they get possessed like dolls? I think you kind of sort of answered it. That's not going to say though that you haven't heard stories, I'm sure, where someone says
absolutely.
like this board's got a spirit. What have you heard?
Well, like Karen said, we don't want to share too much about what's going to be going on in Michigan, but wink, wink, you're going to get a lot of that.
That's what we're going to say.
So we're going to get possessed.
No, you're going to see some stuff, though, that people may think is.
And do you need volunteers? And are you looking at me?
We're looking at you.
You could come volunteer.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's totally cool. There was another question in here too. God, that you guys have great questions. That I'm sorry if I can't get to all of them. I'm trying to talk to people. So just to tell you behind the curtain, I'm like the director, the producer, the host, and the tech, and the janitor, and everything in between. Here was a good one. So John wants to know if I ever thought of bringing a Ouija board to a funeral. John, that's crass and that's rude. However, but I did bring, I dared a ghost hunter friend to bring an EMF meter to a witch's funeral. Did you guys know Sean Poirier in Salem?
No.
I know who he is.
He was he was on an episode of Bullshit with Merch and Christian.
Right. So when he passed away, it was my first witch's funeral that I'd been to. And a bunch of us paranormal people knew him. Colorful character. Christian Day was officiating the funeral, which was something to see. And I dared a buddy of mine to bring an EMF meter, and he did. It's the beeping cell sensor. So it's getting quiet, and I hear doot, 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 doot. I'm like, you brought an EMF meter to Sean's funeral. And the funny thing is, if you knew Sean, and I don't pretend to know him all that well, but we met a few times, I believe in my heart of hearts, he would have loved that beyond like anything. And if someone had brought a Ouija board, I dare say it would have been okay at that particular funeral. It probably would have been cool. Grandma's, maybe you leave it at home. Sean's might have been okay, but we didn't test that. Good question, John.
Hey, Jeff. I've had a discussion with my family, and they're on board with it because they're like, whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. So I talked to my wife about wanting to arrange that when I pass away, when there's a wake, whatever service there may be, the lower half of the casket, how it stays closed?
Yeah.
I want that to be painted, to be a Ouija board, and have a planchette on it. And I want underneath it to say, I dare you. So when people come to my wake, try it. You know what I mean?
Rick, I'm going to make you a bunch of money in this downtime right now. All right. Listen, I'm just going to throw it out there. Were you ever in the KISS Army?
No, but I loved KISS, but I never signed up through the mail.
Totally okay. They sold the KISS casket.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Where is the Ormortis Schreck Ouija casket?
Right? You got to hook it up, man.
Dude,
awesome.
You buy like the cheapo one, and then you do your thing on it and sell it for like triple. Dude, money just everywhere.
Cool.
I'll take two.
Yeah, Dimebag Darrell from Pantera is buried in a KISS coffin.
Yeah, I mean, so where's the dude missing from the market? I'm just saying.
I know.
You can have it.
Got to jump on it.
I want nothing for it.
Project. I'll do that.
Yeah, the Ouija coffin. You know what?
Love it.
Dude, you just draw up a prototype, throw it up on your website, start putting it on social media saying, I'm willing to make this for, 20 grand. And what if you're like, oh my God, I have 8 orders.
That'd be great.
Crowdfunding.
Write them up.
Right? And suddenly you're like, I have a new occupation.
Casket painter.
I'm now a casket. Dude, I'm only half joking.
Yeah,
I'm not joking at all.
If I had the upfront money, I'd be on it today. Let's do it.
Okay, listen, folks, if you want a Ouija casket, reach out to Rick. Make it happen. The down payment will cover the down payment. It will cover the base casket. Listen, we're going to make this happen. And and poor Calvin. Can we say that? Like we lost him.
He said,
I wish he was gonna. I wish he'd pop back in because Calvin could have told you a story about when he had brunch with Lorraine Warren.
Oh, did he? Oh,
yeah.
And she's a sweet lady. And and the funny thing is, like, she wasn't rude about it. If you were to walk up and say, hey, I believe in him and I love him and whatever, I really don't think she'd yell at you. She just has a disagreement about the thing, you know? But I mean, what was the brunch like? How did that go?
I don't know. I remember when he went to go at brunch, but it was a couple of years back. And, it was pretty cool. He enjoyed himself. I don't know any stories about it though.
Yeah, she passed away last year, right?
I think was it 2 years ago? Yeah, you were 2 years ago. Yeah, it was a while.
Oh, Rick, people are coming up with stiff as a Ouija board.
That's funny.
No,
That's funny.
Look and right there, dead serious. That could be the name of your new company.
Sweet. That's awesome.
My God.
You guys are great.
We're going to be rich.
All right.
50-50. You do the work. I'll take 50% of the. Never mind.
No, we could do it, man. We'll start taking investors.
Okay, you guys, the Talking Board Historical Society, it's not just a big gathering. Now, I was there in Baltimore. In fact, I think that's where we all met for the first time, right? Back when the Baltimore anniversary of the Ouija board.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Baltimore was so excited about that event. So excited, they threw a riot.
I know. Literally.
A literal riot. That was the riots.
Yeah, that was pretty terrifying, man, to be trapped in that hotel in the center of all that, listening to helicopters and breaking glass all night.
Yeah.
Wondering how we're going to get out of there. Yeah.
And you know why those riots started? Some will say it was a racial incident with the police. I'm saying the Ouija board's in town.
Well, that's what we heard. We heard after we showed up there, they said, we think you started the riots.
That makes sense. That makes more sense to me.
There's a guy that released a YouTube video saying that we brought all that spiritism to their city, and that's what happened. It's still on YouTube, I think.
Prove him wrong, Rick. Prove him wrong.
Hey, he might be onto something. Who am I?
So that was the place where, I mean, I met you guys. It was a really cool event because, placing a plaque, which I believe is in a 7-Eleven right now. Like this was the site of the Kennard Novelty Company, where it was 125th anniversary, right? That's
exactly
when, it was 125th. Yeah,
that was the thing. And I started to meet some of you folks, some of you people. I said it. There it is. There it is.
You people.
I met some of you people, and I was like, what a eclectic group of human beings that like love and collect these boards. I just knew Merch. That's all I knew. He was my only example. And then when I saw the whole motley crew, I was like, this is amazing. Like, how did you guys not get a reality show?
I don't know, man. We got to get on it.
Yeah.
It is funny. You're right.
No, it is.
The origins go back to eBay. It really started when we were all battling each other, 20 years ago on eBay. And everybody knew each other's eBay names. So we'd all try to, screw each other out of sales and stuff. And then some people became friends, some mortal enemies, but we all knew each other.
Yeah, Merch would tell me like that you guys were all bidding on the same boards.
Oh, yeah.
And you knew like who was looking for what and whatever. Rick, people just keep throwing Coffin Speaks.
Love it.
Dying to communicate coffins. You've got a whole marketing team like already at work. Holy cow. I hope when this is over, you got to let me know if your email's blowing up with orders.
All right.
For like the Ouija.
I'll get right on it, man. I got all the time in the world to paint it.
Oh my God. I love that. Yeah. And your tattoos, like you're an artist. That's what you do. And I think I first saw your boards way back in Baltimore. And I went, wow, these are like, I knew people made them, but not to that much effort, right? Not to the point of like, this is a real like work of art. This isn't just,
thank you.
I spray painted some letters down, right? I mean, like it was a real work of art. And I love that. I love that these things are, oh my God, they're still coming. I can't stop. Look at
Pardon my coffin.
Pardon my coffin.
That's beautiful.
I love that.
That's beautiful.
Open door to the dead. This is so good. Oh, we're all going to incorporate tomorrow. You should go buy all these URLs tonight.
It's so funny, you guys.
This is so awesome. Who would have thought a multi-million-dollar business idea would be born in the speakeasy?
Yeah, right? That's great.
Well, if you drink enough, it happens, right?
Sure, yeah. Easy on the tea there, Karen.
That's what happens when you drink tea. You get creative.
You're going to be tinkling all night.
Gotta go.
Yeah. So what's next? I know you're not going to tell us what's happening in Michigan. It's okay. You're going to build a bigger Ouijazilla than last time, which is absolutely epic because I mean, you needed a drone to shoot that one.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I will tell you that's going on in Michigan Paracon is Ouijazilla's planchette will be there.
Oh, That
So-
sounds expensive to ship.
Well, my wife and I were going to rent a panel van, and we're driving up there.
Ooh,
So we're driving from New Jersey to Upper Peninsula, Michigan.
it's a long ride.
Yeah, that's all right. It's, you know what? After being locked up so much, I look forward to seeing nature, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll be driving, just sightseeing the whole ride. When we went, Kate and I recently drove to South Carolina to go see, Nick was doing a Spartan race down there, right?
Mhm.
And it's a 10-hour drive on Google Maps. It took us 15 and a half hours to get there because we needed to stop off at every Walmart to take selfies. So it's just what we do.
That's their thing. Seriously.
15 and a half hours.
Why the Walmart?
It's
I
fun.
don't know. It's just our thing. We like going into Walmart and seeing the sign that says New Jersey, Walmart loves you. So then we went Jersey and Georgia and North Carolina. We just stopped and took a picture of every sign. I don't know. It's
No.
free.
You're right.
Free fun.
And these are just the kind of things that we're all going to be itching to do, hopefully very
Oh, yeah.
soon,
Right.
when we can get out again. And like going to a Walmart and taking a selfie actually sounds awesome right now. Like,
Right.
like 6 months ago, I would have mocked you mercilessly, but now I'm like, no, I get it. That sounds pretty cool.
It's fun.
That
It's
sounds
fun.
pretty sweet. No, it's really, it's cool. I get it. And we're so eager to travel. We're eager to get out there to interact. And right now we're forced to do this. And I'm grateful for this. I really am. I'm grateful that we can at least see each other. We can hang out virtually. It's something, right? It's something. And that connection, I mean, that connection is the thing we yearn for. It's why you pick up a Ouija board. You're eager to connect with something that's not right there with you. And these boards have such a colorful history. So the Talking Board Historical Society, a registered nonprofit and all that, 501c3 and the whole 9 yards.
Yes.
And some of the projects you guys are doing, there are people that are sort of forgotten to history that you're reintroducing. You're getting headstones for people that were otherwise forgotten. And these headstones are amazing. They've got Ouija boards on them and everything. And you're preserving this history that Hasbro doesn't even know about, right? Like they just bought a product, but they didn't realize like all the history that came with it. And so what's next for Talking Board Historical Society?
Well, TBHS is the brainchild and baby of Robert Murch. You know, like all his years of passion and research between him and Gene Orlando, you know, gave birth to this. And we're very lucky to be his like army he's created in this research and preservation, you know. What's next? Who knows? I mean, right now we're working pretty heavy on what we're going to do in Michigan Paracon. I have a lot of work ahead of me restoring that planchette because it got pretty beat up in Salem.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be rebuilding that thing in my driveway over this, you know, next couple months. So that's my project right now.
Karen, what else are you working on besides still communicating, still doing your thing? What are you up to?
I'm doing a lot of readings on the board. I'm doing readings off the board. I'm writing a book. I'm doing my show. I'm doing a lot of stuff related to Ouija. That's what I do, as you know.
Yeah. That's awesome. And you're still doing it, and that's good. And we're all still doing our thing. It's funny how right now there's been so many projects that forever I've been like, oh, I need like a week to do this, and I don't have a week.
Yeah.
So like,
Got it now.
yeah, I got it now. I totally rebuilt my website, which took 2 weeks. Like it had to be redone from the ground up. I mean, it was so old. And it was one of those things where I was like, well, I've got that to show for all this. I've got to paint the ceilings in my house. Like that's never been done. Like I got the paint. I got everything. I just got to shut up and do it. And like, I'm like, well, if I have a new website and painted ceilings when this is over, that's something, right?
Yep.
Like I've at least got that. So guys, thank you. I'm so sorry we lost Calvin. He had a spotty connection. There he is with Karen and all your Ouija glory.
Construction suits.
I love that. That was so fun to see you guys up there. And you know.
I got mine back here.
Yeah, sort of my neck of the woods.
Calvin, Karen, John Kozik, a lot of our friends from that support the TBHS, they really came and they gave a lot of blood, sweat, and tears for that thing. And I thank them because I couldn't have done it myself.
Yes.
Rick, the second we hang up, look, people cannot stop talking about your casket company.
Kickstarter, they're saying, or crowdfunding.
Yeah, Hatch saying get a Kickstarter going. Like, yeah, man, totally. This is gonna be big. This is gonna be big
But
stuff.
I think, you know what, Rick, you might want to make urns because I'm going to be cremated, so I like a Ouija board urn.
No problem.
It's hard to use the planchette. Then we're gonna have to make some sort of flat surface up on top.
Listen, when I go, I'm gonna ask everybody that knows me, get your boards out. Get your boards out.
All right.
If anybody can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, awesome stuff. Guys, I'm looking forward to seeing you in Michigan. And thank you guys for joining us again in the Speakeasy tonight. You may or may not have noticed we've sort of gone to a schedule. Who knew that this would get that organized? But Monday, Wednesday, Fridays at 7 p.m. New guests all the time. And your bartender does appreciate tips. If you're interested, there's my Venmo. Because times are tough for all of us. I can't make Ouija caskets. So I'm left behind on that multi-million-dollar idea. That's okay. We can all get by. But thank you guys. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Calvin, who we lost along the way. But folks, please, until next time, take it easy.
Thanks, guys.